He's a man who never feared breaking the rules. A daredevil entrepreneur who turned a small record shop into a global empire spanning airlines, space, and media. This is the story of Sir Richard Branson, the founder of the Virgin Group, a man whose vision was as audacious as his stunts. But before he became a billionaire, Richard Branson was a boy who struggled at school, a teenager with dyslexia, and a dreamer who refused to accept limits. Born on July 18, 1950, in Blackheath, London, Richard Charles Nicholas Branson was not your typical student. His dyslexia made reading and writing difficult, and conventional school life frustrated him. But Richard had one thing in abundance: curiosity and courage. From a young age, he dreamed of making a mark on the world in his own way. At 16, Richard made his first leap into business. He launched a magazine called Student, catering to the youth of Britain. It was not just about making money, it was about giving young people a voice. The venture taught him lessons about risk, creativity, and persistence that would guide him for decades. Despite early struggles, late deliveries, tight budgets, and skeptical investors, Branson pushed forward. He learned quickly that success was never guaranteed, but audacity often opened doors that others couldn't even see. But Branson's true breakthrough would come from an unexpected place: the world of music. In 1970, Richard Branson started a mail-order record business. But the big leap came when he opened his first Virgin Records store on Oxford Street, London. His aim? To make music accessible, affordable, and exciting for everyone. And it was in the record industry that Virgin truly came alive. Virgin Records took risks that others wouldn't. Branson signed controversial, unproven artists like Mike Oldfield, whose debut album, Tubular Bells, became a massive success. This was the beginning of Branson's strategy, spotting talent and opportunities where others saw only risk. Virgin Records wasn't just a label. It was a symbol of rebellion, creativity, and vision. It became a springboard for Branson's empire. By the early 1980s, Richard Branson had already made a name for himself with Virgin Records. But for him, music was just the beginning. He didn't want to be a one-industry entrepreneur. He wanted to build a brand that could touch every part of people's lives. And so, the Virgin Empire began to expand beyond music. One of Branson's most audacious moves came in 1984, when he launched Virgin Atlantic Airways. The airline industry was dominated by huge corporations like British Airways and was known for being conservative, bureaucratic, and resistant to change. Many thought Branson was insane, a pop record guy trying to start an airline. But Branson believed that he could do it differently. He wanted Virgin Atlantic to be customer-focused, friendly, and innovative, an airline that didn't just move passengers, but made flying an experience. From brighter interiors to better service and creative marketing campaigns, he turned the airline into a brand people wanted to be associated with. Branson was also a master of publicity. In 1984, when British Airways called him a fly-by-night operator, he famously challenged them with a publicity stunt. He hired a plane and flew passengers dressed as Santa Claus to demonstrate that Virgin Atlantic could compete. It wasn't just marketing, it was proof that boldness and creativity could topple even the biggest players. Of course, Virgin Atlantic faced serious challenges. Cash flow issues, plane accidents, and fierce competition from established airlines threatened the company. At one point, Branson even mortgaged his own house to keep the airline afloat. But his resilience, combined with relentless customer focus, eventually paid off. Virgin Atlantic became known not just for flying people, but for doing it differently, stylishly, innovatively, and boldly. Branson didn't stop with airlines. The Virgin brand began to diversify rapidly, entering industries as diverse as health clubs, retail, and telecommunications. Virgin Holidays offered affordable yet adventurous vacation packages. Virgin Rail aimed to make train travel more enjoyable. Virgin Mobile disrupted the telecom world by offering flexible mobile phone contracts at a time when the market was rigid and expensive. The key to Virgin's expansion was Branson's philosophy. Screw it, let's do it. He saw opportunities where others saw obstacles. He didn't wait for perfect conditions. He believed that action and experimentation would lead to success. This approach allowed Virgin to enter competitive markets and often shake them up with innovation. What made Virgin stand out was more than its services. It was its personality. Branson realized that in a crowded market, people didn't just buy products. They bought brands they could connect with. Virgin became known as bold, irreverent, and fun, a brand that challenged conventions. Branson's stunts, from attempting to break world records to skydiving off cliffs, weren't just personal adventures. They reinforced the brand's fearless image. Each new Virgin venture carried risk, and not every venture was guaranteed to succeed. But Branson's brand had a reputation for excitement and innovation, and that gave him credibility with investors, customers, and the media. Virgin wasn't just a company. It was a story, a promise that with Branson at the helm, the impossible could be possible. In this period of expansion, a few truths about Richard Branson emerge. He embraced risk and uncertainty. He relied on creativity and bold marketing. He focused relentlessly on the customer experience. He used the Virgin brand as a unifying force across industries. This combination of fearlessness, vision, and storytelling allowed Virgin to grow from a record company into a diversified empire, setting the stage for future ventures into space travel, healthcare, and beyond. Not every Virgin venture was a hit. For every success story, there were failures that could have broken a lesser entrepreneur. Richard Branson was no exception, but it was in these failures that some of his greatest lessons were learned. Virgin Cola, battling the giants. In the 1990s, Branson decided to challenge one of the biggest companies in the world, Coca-Cola. He launched Virgin Cola, confident that his brand's rebellious image could win over consumers. The gamble was bold. Take on a global giant with decades of market dominance. But Virgin Cola struggled from the start. Distribution was difficult. The brand wasn't enough to sway customers from Coke or Pepsi, and advertising couldn't compete with the multi-billion-dollar budgets of the giants. Despite Branson's flair and marketing stunts, Virgin Cola eventually fizzled out. This was a public failure, a reminder that even a fearless entrepreneur like Branson could not succeed in every battle. Branson didn't stop there. He launched Virgin Brides, a chain of wedding shops, and Virgin Cars, a direct-to-consumer car sales business. Both ventures reflected his desire to enter new markets and disrupt traditional industries. But these ventures faced structural challenges. Virgin Brides struggled with limited brand fit. People loved Virgin for music and travel, but not necessarily for wedding dresses. Virgin Cars ran into logistical problems, dealership resistance, and market saturation. Both ventures eventually closed, costing the company millions. The failures were not due to lack of effort or vision. Branson had invested heavily in research, marketing, and operations. But he realized something important. Not every industry could be conquered by branding alone. Branson's approach to failure was unique. While many entrepreneurs hide their mistakes, Branson openly acknowledged them. He once said, "Business opportunities are like buses. There's always another one coming." For Branson, failure wasn't a shameful endpoint. It was a lesson, an experiment, a stepping stone to the next opportunity. Virgin's failures became part of its narrative, reinforcing the image of a brand willing to take risks, even when the odds were stacked against it. These failures were also deeply public. The media often criticized Branson for overextending, calling him reckless. Investors worried, yet he remained undeterred. Instead of retreating, he studied what went wrong. Market fit, timing, operations. He learned to be bolder, but smarter, to balance audacity with strategy. Each setback became a blueprint for how to approach the next big venture, whether it was Virgin Mobile, Virgin Trains, or even Virgin Galactic. What set Branson apart was how he turned failure into a brand advantage. Consumers admired his courage, his willingness to try, and sometimes fail spectacularly. His failures humanized him, made the Virgin brand relatable, and reinforced the idea that Virgin was a company that dared to dream, even when the odds were against it. In the end, these failures were not setbacks. They were fuel for growth, lessons that helped Branson refine his approach, expand smarter, and push further into industries where Virgin could truly make a mark. For Richard Branson, failure was never final. It was just part of the journey. Richard Branson was not content to limit himself to boardrooms and spreadsheets. While many entrepreneurs measure success by profits and market share, Branson measured it by experiences, daring, and pushing the limits. His adventures became an integral part of his life and his brand. In 1987, Branson attempted his first major record-breaking adventure, crossing the Atlantic Ocean in a hot air balloon. He wasn't just chasing adrenaline. He was testing his limits, daring to attempt what few believe possible. Branson faced storms, freezing temperatures, and near disaster, but the balloon finally touched down, and the world watched in awe. These stunts were more than personal challenges. They reinforced his image as a fearless innovator, the kind of person who didn't just dream, but acted. He didn't stop there. Branson attempted to break the record for crossing the Pacific Ocean in a balloon. That journey was even more perilous. Strong winds, mechanical failures, and freezing nights at 30,000 feet tested him physically and mentally. Yet Branson pressed on, demonstrating resilience, courage, and a willingness to embrace risk. The same traits he applied in business. Branson's adventures weren't purely personal. Each daring feat was strategically aligned with the Virgin brand. The hot air balloon stunts weren't just headline-grabbing. They were a demonstration of Virgin's personality, bold, innovative, and unafraid of challenges. Branson understood something most business leaders overlook. People remember stories, not products. By putting himself at the center of thrilling narratives, he created a brand that was synonymous with audacity. Beyond balloons, Branson pursued other extreme challenges. He tried skydiving, kiteboarding, and even competed in powerboat racing. Each adventure carried risks, injuries, public scrutiny, and even near-death experiences, but they highlighted the essence of Branson's philosophy. Life is about embracing opportunities, defying limits, and enjoying the journey. Perhaps the pinnacle of Branson's adventurous spirit is Virgin Galactic, his private space company. Branson dreamed not just of reaching new markets, but of literally taking humanity beyond the Earth's atmosphere. In 2004, he announced Virgin Galactic with the goal of making space travel available to private citizens. By 2021, Branson himself flew aboard a Virgin Galactic spacecraft, reaching the edge of space. This wasn't just a stunt. It was the ultimate intersection of his life philosophy, adventurous spirit, and business vision. These adventures, public stunts, and record-breaking attempts were more than headlines. They were a testament to Richard Branson's character. They showed a man who doesn't accept limits, who sees opportunity where others see danger, and who uses boldness to build not just companies, but legends. And as we look at Virgin today, it's clear that Branson's personal philosophy of adventure has been as crucial to the empire as any business strategy. Virgin is no longer just a music label or an airline. The group includes Virgin Atlantic and Virgin Australia, airlines known for innovation and customer experience. Virgin Galactic, pioneering commercial space travel. Virgin Mobile, disrupting telecommunications globally. Virgin Voyages, reimagining cruise travel. Virgin Hotels, redefining luxury and service. Each venture reflects Branson's core philosophy. Challenge the status quo, put the customer first, and dare to be different. Even today, the Virgin brand thrives not just on the products it delivers, but on the personality and ethos Branson has infused into it. The company isn't just a business. It's a story, a lifestyle, and an inspiration. Richard Branson's approach to business is unconventional. He doesn't rely solely on spreadsheets or market analyses. Instead, he believes in bold experimentation, trying new ideas, even in risky industries. Resilience, turning failures into lessons. Customer obsession, delivering experiences, not just products. Brand storytelling, making Virgin a symbol of innovation and adventure. Branson's success is rooted in his ability to merge business acumen with personal passion. He doesn't just lead companies, he inspires people. Beyond business, Branson has invested his wealth and influence in social and environmental causes. From climate change initiatives to global health campaigns, he believes that business should serve humanity as much as it serves profit. The Virgin Unite Foundation embodies this philosophy. It tackles pressing issues, supports entrepreneurs, and invests in projects that make the world a better place. For Branson, legacy isn't measured in dollars alone, it's measured in impact. Lessons from a life lived boldly. Branson's journey teaches us that success is not linear. It is built from courage to challenge the giants, willingness to fail publicly, persistence in the face of obstacles, curiosity to explore uncharted territories. He shows that entrepreneurship is not just about money or control. It's about vision, daring, and the willingness to live life fully. Richard Branson is more than a businessman. He is a symbol of what's possible when vision meets audacity. He turned a small record store into a global empire, not through conventional methods, but by trusting his instincts, embracing adventure, and putting people at the center of everything he does. And his story continues. Virgin Galactic, new ventures in healthcare, renewable energy, and space exploration all point to a simple truth. Richard Branson doesn't just chase profit. He chases possibility. And in doing so, he inspires millions to dream bigger, take risks, and live boldly. From dyslexic schoolboy to global tycoon, from record stores to space travel, Richard Branson's life is a testament to courage, creativity, and relentless curiosity. The Virgin Empire is more than a collection of companies. It is a story of vision, adventure, and the belief that nothing is impossible. This is the story of Richard Branson, adventurer, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and founder of the Virgin Empire. His journey reminds us that success is not just about wealth or fame, but about daring to dream, daring to act, and daring to inspire. Like the video, subscribe for more stories, and share it if it inspired you.